And we will move to item F, our report on homecoming this year.
Homecoming. One warm thought and one kind of warm thought.
Yeah.
Warm in our hearts, anyway. The homecoming report. We did some work this year to have sort of a post-homecoming brainstorm, and we gathered some feedback through Student Senate, and then from all of our advisors that work with the classes and with the Student Senate, and then we gathered some feedback from our department leaders. So what you have at the top of the report is that feedback. Overall, events are very well received by the community. Parade and football game, the highlights, which we expected to be the case. Thursday night's pep rally, we got good reports, but just about everybody said it was a little bit long, self included, who was the MC for the evening. Friday's pep rally, great, but repetitious for students. Had several students this year that were asking for an alternative. They knew they needed to be at school, but thought that their particular time would be better used studying rather than being at the pep rally. They didn't feel as connected to it. Students and staff, I should have put in parentheses there, expressed concern about the enforcement of the dress code during homecoming week, specifically the hats, wigs, and masks rule. We'll address that a little later on. Dance, very positive feedback, and the homecoming football game was crowded, which is a very good thing, but looking at the way in which we can address that to make sure that it's comfortable for everybody involved. So some suggestions that we want to put forward for consideration. We're not asking for action tonight. We just want to sort of get a feel from the board where you're at on these pieces before we would move forward with investigating things with the city, Chamber of Commerce, etc. One is to move the homecoming parade to Friday to build up to the culminating point of the week. To really, that would go hand in hand with the second bullet point of combining the pep rallies into one. So our day Friday at school would be spent throughout the day with our clubs building the floats. The last hour of the day having a large community pep rally with all of the student body, flowing about half an hour, 45 minutes later into the parade. And then the parade still ending before we get to rush hour on Main Street. So that's one point that we would definitely need to get some feedback from City Council and from the Chamber businesses on. And then building that momentum right into the homecoming football game. We've got pretty good reception from staff and students as we've tossed that idea out, but we want to continue to float that idea with people to see what are the pros and the cons that you see to those concepts. To address the topic of students who wanted another place to go, the suggestion is to allow a quiet study hall to operate during the pep rally. So if students would choose to go there, they could go there, have some adult supervision, and be able to work quietly. The dress code, we want to ensure that we secure the building, and for me, one of the important pieces of securing the building is making sure we can see everybody's face who's in the building. From the video cameras that are in the ceiling in our hallways, if you're wearing a brimmed cap, I can't see your face. And so every time I've explained that to students or to staff, they get it. They understand why we've enforced the dress code. But I think there is some room for us to relax a little bit in saying that so long as we can see your face, meaning there's no bill covering it, there's not a wig that comes over your face, there's not a face mask. We had a few yellow man suits and green man suits this year. As long as we can see your face, we're going to be okay during homecoming week. And then continue with the dance on Saturday evening. There is some talk of changing who sponsors the dance. Traditionally, for the last several years, it's been our cheerleading squad. We're having some turnover right now in our coaching staff for that, and we might or might not have someone in place. So with that in mind, the freshman class has offered to sponsor that so that we would have some continuity there. And then continue working to arrange crowd patterns. You saw at some of the later football games this year, we did expand the student section and then push over the adult section. So the adults for Toma actually had, I believe, better seats. They had more of the center field seats, and we did that by taking away some of the seats for our visitors. And in general, we didn't need that many seats for our visitors. We gave them half the stands previously, and they just certainly don't fill up half the stands. So we'll continue to do that, but we wanted to delineate some priorities. The first and foremost, Toma High School is there for the current students, so they ought to have first priority. Second is obviously the Toma High School parents and the community that have supported that school for so long. Third, we wanted to not forget about our Toma Middle School students, and Steve already left out, but And then after that, of course, our visiting team and the other guests. So we want to make sure that everything that we do as we move forward with crowd patterns is done with that priority in mind. So you have the information. I welcome your comments, questions, feedback, and we'll keep working. We wanted to get a start on this now because we know it's going to take a while to get everything in place for next year.
When I first read it, I thought, that's too much in one day on Friday. But as you said it today, and then the flow of it, it sounds reasonable. It sounds good, so I don't know.
Can I ask for the float building? I know that now not every student leaves, of course, to build floats, and that would continue? It would be the same sort of a setup as far as who's leaving to build?
We allow 5 students per club that's going to sponsor a float, and we would continue with that.
So classes go as normal except for the...
Except for the students that would have either been out usually on Thursday, now they would be out on Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the policy as it relates to facial recognition. Do we have something that says that faces have to be, is there, I mean, I understand the security part of it, but for a homecoming, have we been seeing, is there a rationale to keep that as tight for that evening? That's part of the excitement of homecoming, is to dress up and put face paint on.
There at the homecoming football game, it was wide open. Mm-hmm. It was during the school week, as it's a spirit-filled week. So it's in the school building during the school day.
So in the stands and for the actual game.
Yep, we're very relaxed with expectations there.
So I'd hate to have to not dress up.
Absolutely. we want them dressed up and ready to scream their hearts out.
That's right.
And have you done any surveying on the powder puff at all? Powder puff game?
The powder puff we've done informally. It keeps slipping off my top of mind awareness, but Cindy reminded me. What I'd like to go back, and it's not in your report because we haven't done this yet, is go back to the students and to the staff and say, let's look at the possibility of sponsoring powder puff again and putting it on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, at an earlier time when we still have some daylight that's happening, and supervise it by the school. We can define some parameters. I've done that previously, and powder puff is not something that is uniquely controversial to Toma, so you should be happy to hear that too. But there are definitely some parameters we can put around it to make it an enjoyable and safe experience for everybody. That's what I would like to see happen with that. I think it was unfortunate that it competed with the audience Thursday evening during our pep rally at the high school. So by incorporating it back into the school's events for the week, I think we can ensure that it is a part of homecoming, not apart from homecoming.
Very
It makes
supportive
sense.
of that,
Yeah, it makes sense to combine the pep rallies too. I don't think this is the first year that the pep rally for Thursday night has gone long. I think
No,
that
it's
tends
not
to
the
be,
first
and I think having those parameters with, the parade to follow, you can move it along
Yeah.
quickly, still accomplish what you want to accomplish and have fun, but
Right.
the flow would be better.
It'll be interesting at, homecoming when I was a student, not here, but our parade was on Friday. It was similar to the lineup that you have for your Friday. That's exactly how ours used to be. And, again, as you said, you'll communicate with the community and with the city and see how that works for them as far as a parade and how everything follows.
Yeah, we want to make sure we know that I've heard anyway from my colleagues that previously the students from elementary schools had been bussed in at times for pep rallies, and there was issues with transportation, and so we want to make sure that whatever we do, we're going out and seeking feedback from the city council and from the chamber of businesses.
Very good.
Dave, if it was for convenience sake, why did this year we have the homecoming game, the last game of the year, last home game? I don't recall that happening before, and it doesn't make any difference to me, but conducive to weather, maybe it's better to have it up the schedule a little bit.
Sure.
But I don't know of a homecoming that we've had where it was the last home game of the year against Logan. I don't recall that happening. Was there a
Yeah.
reason for that?
That I don't know. The homecoming game is usually set about a year in advance, so once we get our schedule for next fall, then I'll get with Mr. Kern and we'll look at defining our homecoming. But generally, you want to be far enough into the season that you're warmed up,
Right.
and you want to pick a team that you think you're going to beat.
Yes, you do.
So,
You know, it turned out to be quite a game with Logan.
yeah.
And I don't recall that ever happening before, the last game of the year. So conducive to weather, I think you'd like to have it a little bit, you know.
Or maybe we were just banking on it wouldn't be the last game of the year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
It wasn't. Yeah.
It wasn't the last one.
So
No, that's
we
right.
had a wonderful season.
Mr. Grosstein, I had some conversations with Mr. Curran on that, and I believe we had 2 home games right off the bat, and one was even before school, actually.
So the choice was...
So I think we were real limited in the options
Yeah.
that we had,
Well, the
because
choices.
we need to be in school for a period of time for the groups to get
For all of the other
organized,
things
and
that happen during homecoming to have
So I
time
think
to
it
be
was just
planned,
the-
yeah.
Just the way it was set up. Because,
This year.
You know, I don't recall that happening before, but
Yeah.
far be it for me to care when it is. Homecoming is great anyway, but I know usually they had it earlier in the year.
Yeah, we'll look at it again for next year and see what our schedule looks like.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.